Uh, First segment of the day. I feel weird now. I'm waiting for the Uber Eats order at the same time as like I'm like, damn, you really fucked me up. You really fucked me up. That shit fucked me up. Oh my god. Okay. So Biden did the speechy thingy. Everybody was pretty much split on it. I don't know why. My shirt feels dirty. I don't like that. Don't matter. It looked nice. Pressed to my body. I'm wearing shorts. Don't know how I feel like that. Doesn't matter. So there were some people who had some reactions to it, and there were some people who had some other reactions to it. Generally, you either, as obvious, is split kind of down the middle here, with a little bit of a split on the left. It was one great speech, full of lip service that we hope you cash in on, or it was the communist radical agenda to destroy America. So I'm kind of more interested in the big explosion thing than the maybe you could do a little more. So let's watch one of them takes. And that take comes from Ted Cruz.
And by the way, Biden's joint address to Congress, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz, before we get to the socialist, utopian, authoritarian statism of Joe Biden, I think we got to talk about the star of the night, and that would be your colleague, our friend, and that would be Senator Tim Scott.
Okay.
I think Tim did a terrific job. I'm glad he gave the response. Tim is someone who understands firsthand that what the American free enterprise system is all about is the ability to rise from nothing to achieve the American dream. And as Tim pointed out, the extraordinary journey that his grandfather saw going from cotton to Congress.
Okay. Every time I stream, every segment I do, there's always this hinge in my soul that like I'm not being charitable enough to these people. Like I feel it in my in like deep down, I feel like even at like the darkest level of my soul, I'm still not charitable enough to these people. With that being said, it is very ironic that you describe the black man's story right next to you, framed very right next to you, as a cotton to Congress story. And that's why I be saying to people, why do you think optics is so important for like your socialist revolution agenda, the fight against neoliberal capitalists, the Joe Biden prison complex system? You know, you gotta say, don't say abolish the police, don't say defund the police, all your slogans, Black Lives Matter, and people hear it differently. Like, do you hear what comes out of their mouths? The opposition, the sole opposition to quite literally any liberal fantasy, which we're going to get into, liberal fantasy land idea of what you think is happening or you think Biden's agenda is or blah, blah, blah this and blah, blah, blah that. If you're more worried about the optics of actually trying to make a difference in your neighborhood and not saying the wrong thing left, right, and making people get confused, then how do you stand on the same side of the people who say shit like cotton to Congress? Hey, so you acknowledge that the past is bad and you say that now that's not the way anymore. To which I'm going to have to then just point out the obvious argument or the obvious statement that would come out of somebody's head if they were trying to chart the expansion of the American ideal. At what point in America's history did we not demonize black people for their culture? What was the day? It couldn't have been the civil rights movement because we saw literally from that year onward out that like the kind of racial epithet you missed the I'll tell you after this segment. It's kind of you kind of like don't see a time where black people were kind of viewed like in a positive light. I think if we want to say, do we want to say Barack Obama's ascension to the presidency and winning the election was the end of racism? Because if that were the case, then I'd have to say, what was the whole Michelle looked like a man, they both look like monkeys type thing? Like, what was that? What do you think is the reaction if black people get more power? And I will always go back to Black Wall Street for this. That was not side. That was something. I don't know what that was. Fuck you. Yo, it's like, we're gonna talk about the guy on the left, Tim Scott. I don't see where, and I'm sorry if the point gets lost in here, if it's like I'm trying to like do this in a way that like really echoes my confusion with that statement. What about this is like post-racial society? Because like, even on a non-political level, you see it every day. I'm just confused as to why it's like, he says,
in one lifetime, in 94 years, it really embodies who we are as a nation.
Yes, Senator, let me get into some of this. If you want to cough, feel free. We'll take you off the screen for a second, Phil. We could have taken him off the screen. But if you look at where we are, I think America's at a crossroads. I would argue we've had in our lifetime 3 waves of conservatism: Reagan, the contract with America, and the Make America Great Again, America First agenda. All things that we agree on.
Oh, that was Lee.
In every case, that agenda, those policies work. The history of socialism, well, is one of failure, one of unfulfilled promises, more poverty, and then it's a question of how much freedom you give to the government in the name of false promises. Thoughts?
None of that. Okay, now am I bugging? Or did you just tune out during that? None of that made sense. None of that was coherent. None of what that was. I don't understand what he just said. I have to play that back.
Socialism, well, is one of failure, one of unfulfilled promises, more poverty, and then it's a question of how much freedom you give to the government in the name of false promises. Thoughts?
Well, look, I think the speech tonight, you could sum up in 3 words: boring, but radical.
How is it both boring and radical? How is it both boring and radical? That doesn't make any sense to me.
The speech by
how is it like the most radical thing you've ever heard and it not be exciting? How is it boring and not the same status quo? It was super left.
Design was calm and dulcet tones. I challenge you to remember a single line from the speech. I mean, it was monotone. The chamber was nearly empty, and that really has characterized the first 100 days of Joe Biden. That he's tried to say nothing notable, he's tried to tweet nothing notable. I think that made the political decision that many people were tired of the drama of the previous 4 years, and they wanted something calm. And so, but Joe is deliberately being boring, but the substance of what he's saying is radical. This is the most.
Are you serious? Like, I have people who argue in my YouTube comments about this. So the people wanted less drama, and now he's doing the less drama on purpose because he could, like, be more dramatic?
Most radical first 100 days of any president in the history of this country.
Radical first 100 days of any president. FDR is like, we were in war at one point.
This makes Barack Obama
at multiple points. Oh my God. People watch this.
Mild and moderate. You look at what Joe Biden stood up there tonight and said. He said, number one, we're raising taxes. We're raising every tax. If you pay taxes in America, your taxes are going up. He said that they're going to raise individual income taxes. They're going to.
So I thought it wasn't memorable.
To raise corporate income taxes. They're going to raise taxes on small businesses. They're going to raise capital gains taxes. They're going to raise the death tax. Every tax is going up, and it's to the tune of trillions of dollars.
But that's not true. Taxes aren't going up to the tune of what?
Look at what Joe Biden didn't say.
Did you
tonight? He didn't say we're opening up small businesses. He didn't say we're getting people back to work.
That's because those are local and state mandates, and those mandates are getting, especially in my state, or at least in my city, those mandates are going away. Your state is open up. I'm confused. What are you talking about?
He didn't say we're getting kids back in school. Completely missing from his remarks tonight what was the outrage that more than half of the kids in America are not in person in school 5 days a week. And he provided zero solution to the crisis at the border that he caused. He pretended it didn't exist. This was all about trillions of dollars in spending, massive job-killing regulations, trillions of dollars in taxes, and it was an unapologetic partisan speech. There wasn't even the tiniest fig leaf of an outreach to the other side. You know,
that's literal bullshit. Did you watch the speech? You were there. You were there.
It was 100 days ago he gave his inauguration where he talked about unity. He talked about common ground. All of that was gone tonight. Tonight, this was an agenda that was set by Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and AOC. It's the radicals and socialists. And what did he talk about also? The Corrupt Politicians Act, H.R. 1, a federal takeover of elections to keep Democrats in power forever. And he didn't once reject the radical Democratic plan we saw.
I see. Almost, I lost it. What was I talking about? I'm just going off. More radical, more something about the left. And what does he say? The radical left.
Act, H.R. 1, for new liberals. This reject the radical Democratic plan we saw introduced this last week to pack the U.S. Supreme Court with 4 new liberals. This was a frightening speech, and it was a frightening speech.
I thought it was boring but radical. Now it's frightening. So you did watch it. So you were entertained. You were
masquerading in really boring tones.
Pack the courts, legislative filibuster, D.C. statehood, all of these radical things. You know, even Democratic Senator
D.C. having statehood is a radical thing.
Who's up for re-election in 2022, Mark Kelly said, what I didn't hear tonight was a plan to address the immediate crisis at the border, and I'll continue to hold this administration accountable. That sounds like a senator to me that's afraid of the coming election, Senator Ted Cruz. That's what I hear from Kelly tonight, Senator Kelly tonight.
Oh, sure. Mark Kelly has voted identically to Bernie Sanders. And it's actually a contrast. You know, Kyrsten Sinema, the other Democrat from Arizona, has shown some real courage. She and Joe Manchin are the 2 Democrats who are the only thing standing between ending the filibuster, making D.C. a state, packing the courts, the Corrupt Politicians Act. And Mark Kelly hasn't shown a fraction of the guts that Kyrsten Sinema has shown or
Yo, okay, so phrase this argument in your head. Phrase it in your head. Phrase it in your head a different way. If you wanna reply to this and you're like, okay, so what am I supposed to have as a takeaway? Is it bullshit? Is it not? Right? Let's end the segment here. He only likes the Democratic senators that vote with him. Like, there's no substance in him saying, oh, they showed real courage. By doing what? How is it courageable if it's going on party lines? Oh, because they agree with me. If she does flips one vote and goes the other way, instant smear campaign. You can at me on this. I promise you. In the next 6 months, Sinema's gonna do something like out of her like pattern and vote in a direction like that. I'm sorry. And she's going to vote in a direction like that. And when she does that, you're going to be so like super surprised to watch him specifically. And I promise you it's going to be him. You're going to watch him say, oh, I thought she was part of the party lines, but I guess she fell in line with the radical Democrats. Like, they're trying to do this thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to end the segment like that. But they're trying to do this thing. And it's going to backfire hard on them, but it might like create a little adversarial tension for the next couple years. They're trying to do this thing to frame and that's what I was saying about fascism, bro. They're trying to phrase every single argument that there could be for anything on the sake of everything they're doing is wrong and they're trying to take away American livelihood and we're the only ones who can save you. And I don't know why people don't see that as the plan. Government as a whole is doing this more thing about focusing on the people, which it should. But they're doing it and it's like obviously targeted towards a certain group of people. And that's why I'm like, I need y'all to pay attention.